Greetings, Lewis, and welcome to another video. So, in the last video I did, I showcased you Vaylantz. This is a deck that I've been piloting and I've been testing out for this format. And I kind of wanted to do a follow-up video on this because when it comes to rogue decks, I want to show you more proof of concept because often more than not, people might think that rogue decks are pretty much clickbait and they show you that they don't have a position in this format, like unless you are extremely lucky or like extremely skilled with the deck. And when it comes to like decks that I pilot for this format, I both do it for like meta viable strategies, but also non-meta strategies. One thing that I really like doing is experimenting with the format and just try to figure out possible solutions to a really big problem. Right now, we're in a format where there is a plethora of decks that can just play with their engine despite it being disrupted. And those decks that do that more often than not are going to be decks that will be doing well in this format. That's why we saw Unchained win YCS Richmond. That's why we see Tearlaments keep topping events despite it not winning, but like we see them at least topping events consistently. That's why we see decks like Mannadium doing well at events more often than not sometimes, because like some of these decks that we have in the format are decks that are kind of resilient, or decks that can play through one or two hand traps, or can be unfazed by certain hand traps that are very specific to this metagame. You also have decks like Rescue Ace, and you have decks like Purely, where their engine is just really good at very simplified game states. You also have Infernal Knights, which is like a deck that capitalizes on like your opponent not being able to make like full value out of their resources. So when it comes to a format like that, a deck with a very high ceiling that can play through multiple hand traps is very ideal. And like I think Vaylantz really fits that bill and that criteria. As you can see here, my build is slightly changed. It is now 40 cards. I am playing Prosperity instead of Desires. There is one replay that I will show where you can see the contrast between the two pop cards and like how much of a difference they make. I don't say that there is a wrong option here. Like Desires giving you a +1 can benefit you a lot if you end up drawing multiple pendulum skills. However, the Desires banishing key engine cards in your deck could also hurt you. Well, Prosperity, even though it's not giving you a +1, it is giving you more options, and it pretty much makes the deck a lot more consistent than what it is at the moment. I also added a second copy of Beyond the Pendulum. I think this card is very strong in this deck. Since we don't have Heavymetalfoes Electrumite, you kind of have to play this card on more than one copy because you want to secure your grind game and like have good follow-up despite you just having follow-up with Exceed the Pendulum. Two cards that I'm thinking of switching out of my main, my extra deck rather, are going to be Selene and like Sky Thunder. Sky Thunder is mainly here because of talent. Basically, you can end up capitalizing on your opponent using talents to take a monster from them, and if it's an XYZ, you just turn it into Zeus. You can do that pretty much against Purely and Unchained. And Now that I'm showcasing an update to the deck, I kind of want to show you a few replays. So the first replay is against Joffro. He is on Dragon Link. He has 1100 rating and he has over 12,000 duelist experience. So we're in for a good match. They win the die roll and they go Striker Dragon. They go Magnum. They go Lebellion. They go Safer. Safer into Levianeer. They're going to boost Sector. They're going to make the Heretic Seal, and they're going to Levianeer. So this is a very minimalistic board. However, the reason that he's doing this is because he does have a multitude of hand traps. He is drawing into more cards with the Regained. And he is not playing into Typhon, which is in my extra deck since you saw earlier. That's the reason for this play. This play is kind of unorthodox because it's not really that strong against very high ceiling decks. Like for example, Mannadium and like Infernobles could play through this depending on what cards they have. So that being said, they shuffled back one of the Vaylantz. We activate Soul Activation. We activate Shinonome. We do Chronomus effect. They do Imperm. We activate Desires. That gets ashed. We normal the Majesty, and they opted not to Spheres any of our summons, meaning that we can go for it Beyond the Pendulum. Beyond the Pendulum, we're going to grab us the Vaylantz Ninja, and now that we've scaled both Vaylantz Ninja and the Spirit, they're going to Heretic Seal because they want to minimize like the potential of our Pendulum plays. And since they know that we're locked into Vaylantz as only extra deck monsters, that's going to benefit them more than not. So we Pendulum summon Shinonome. Kyoto Spirit goes back to her hand. We already normal summoned this turn, so that's a very important note. We summon Nazuki. And now they summon Baldrake. They do Branded Regained to shuffle back. And sadly, Nazuki's effect only works on monsters in the main monster zone, so I cannot move this Shinonome out of the extra monster zone, meaning that I don't get the effect to add another Vaylantz. That's a little bit unfortunate, otherwise we could have kept playing through all these interruptions. So now our next play is summoning Beyond the Pendulum to grab us another Pendulum card. And he's going to immediately just tribute for Baldrake. And that's going to be end of the duel because he just has enough follow-up for next turn. So now we're going to game 2. We activate the magical Midbreaker field. This is not in our main deck at the moment. However, this was a card I was experimenting with. In a deck like Vaylantz, this is a really strong card because pretty much what it does, it shuts down all the Imperms, all the Veilers, like all the Ghost Mourners. And yeah, they immediately scooped it up because they know that they cannot play through what the deck can do even under the Midbreaker combination. So now we're going to game 3, and they summon Striker Dragon into Boot Sector. So they do Striker Dragon's effect. I have two options: either hold the Ghost Ogre for the Striker Dragon, or hold it for the Boot Sector. We already know that that's going to be one of their their summons. However, we do end up keeping the Ghost Ogre. They do Branded Regained. They do Baldrake. They do Regained effect, and we immediately Ghost Ogre that. The reason we do this is because we already know that he has Boot Sector and Recharger, and there are two unknown cards in his hand. And the fact that he exhausted his normal summon on the monster means that they pretty much have to capitalize on using these cards specifically if he wants to keep playing. So not only that, we also get rid of the Striker Dragon until he like summons Bestial Dispatter. So that being said, they boost Sector, they summon Seal, and pass. When normal summon Altergas Malwisp, this card is often a brick you don't want to open with this card. However, we're going to see with this duel that this card was very specifically geared towards Heretic Seal. So, for those who don't know this ruling, because Joffro did not, if Malwisp is returned to the hand, it is considered as being added to the hand. Therefore, you can activate its effect to special summon itself. It works exactly like Trickstar Lilybell, for those who remember that monster. Because it pretty much says when it's added to the hand, it doesn't say from where. So that being said, I try to summon, we try to deliberate the ruling, the judge arrives and confirms it, and that's a ruling for you to know in the future. And now you have to understand if I capitalized on this ruling or not. So I had two options here. Option one was attack the Druisworm with the Malwisp and then just proceed with my Vaylantz effects afterwards. Option number two is summon my two Vaylantz monsters, try to use it against his open board, and try to summon SP Little Knight to pick apart the rest of what's left on his board. So I did option number two, and he had Branded Beast. So this was a misplay on my part. The main reason this was a misplay is because I do have the Vaylantz Archer, meaning that I could have summoned the Vaylantz Archer like after I did both the Machine Vaylantz effects, and then the Archer could have made Majesty Maiden, and the Majesty Maiden could have made SP Little Knight that way. And that pretty much would have won me the duel because I would have left him top decking on just Valor against the full board. And if we don't get rid of the boost sector, we have Ghost Ogre to deal with that. However, that's not the play that we did, and we're just going to be punished by this unsearched Branded Beast that is most likely a one-of. You can make the argument that this was very strong hindsight because it is like less than 10% to open both Regained and Branded Beast, but sadly that is what happened. This is a play that could have been avoided, and that's going to end up losing me the match. We summon the Vaylantz Archer, and we forget that we already normal summoned the Malwisp. So this was another misplay, and then now we're just going to like getting punished for it because now we give them the ability to activate boost sector launch for no reason. He summons Safer, which is his top deck, and now he's off to the races. We're pretty much like in a lost cause in this duel. He does Ravine. He grabs Lubellion, and Lubellion is going to grab him the Magnum. And yep, that's the end of the duel. So yeah, don't play into Branded Beast. This is the third time I play into this card. Once here and twice at locals. So yeah, cards that are one-offs in certain decks. If you know the matchup, please be aware of these cards. You can make the argument that not every Dragon Link player is playing this card, but just making the read that the card exists gives you a mental exercise on how to deal with this matchup if it ever happens to be the situation. Now we're going to duel number 2. This is against Yu-Gi-Oh! Maniac. You might remember him from a video that I did a while ago. He was playing Mannadium at the time, and the preface of that video that I made was how I unfavor really strong high ceiling decks this format, and how those high ceiling decks pretty much makes this format very unorthodox, because now you have to debate whether to play against the mid-range decks that can play through interruptions, or play against the very high ceiling decks where if you don't interrupt them, they just make really strong boards. A couple weeks after that video got released, Pack ended up topping YCS Richmond with Infernoble Knights, and the preface of him doing that was to prove a point, which is the point that I also made with my video. So that being said, we're facing against Maniac once more, and he's still on Mannadium. So I activate solo activation and I activate the Vaylantz Princess. You're going to see right here that this was a very big misplay in our part. Before we activated the Tearlaments effect, we should have activated the Vaylantz World. If we did that, we immediately would have contested against Infinite Impermanence. And not only did we have Vaylantz World, we also had the solo activation, meaning that not only did we could have dodged Imperm, we also could have made it so Shinonome had both her effects online. Unless he decides to do Moonlit Chill, which is another option. That being said, we eat the Imperm, which could have been avoided. Now we do Mad Marquise. Mad Marquise is going to excavate 2 cards. None of them are Vaylantz, sadly. And now we're going to make Beyond the Pendulum. That's going to be contested with Ash Blossom. And another misplay that I did is I could have normal summoned Jackal King, tributing over Beyond the Pendulum. And if we did that, that would have made it so our opponent has to capitalize on just using monster effects and not using any of their spell cards if they want to proceed with their plays. So another misplay from our part, and that we're just going to scoop it up. Now we're going to game 2, and now we're going to learn from our last mistake, and we immediately activate Shirabansho. After doing Shirabansho, we're going to do Master Cerberus. Master Cerberus is going to grab us Jackal King, and we're going to do Jackal King into Master Cerberus. We see that he does have Ash Blossom in his hand. More often than not, if you see Master Cerberus being scaled, you should Ash Blossom this, because now if you end up doing that, you have a card stuck in your Pendulum Zone, which is going to limit like the level of plays you can do your Vaylantz effects. And not only that, you like take away a free summon. You can make the argument that they did have Nibiru and they're just holding the Ash Blossom for something more ideal, since we are going to be playing into Nibiru eventually. However, I still say it's very strong hindsight. We got unlucky again. We only rolled a 1. However, we did roll into a Vaylantz, so we can keep playing. We do Beyond the Pendulum. That's going to grab us Shinonome. We're going to scale both, and this is going to grab this back to our hand. And this is the point where they have to Nibiru. If they don't Nibiru here, that pretty much means that we're going to have Jackal's effect online, meaning they can contest either Ash or Nibiru outright. So we activate the Viscount, and then they immediately Nibiru. So one misplay from their part is they opted to put the token here. For future reference, if you see 2 Vaylantz being scaled, you pretty much always want to block one of the zones where one of the Vaylantz is, because it means that they have to capitalize on that zone or use that monster as a resource in order to keep proceeding. That being said, we're going to summon the Viscount. The Viscount is going to put Mad Marquis into our spell and trap zone. And we're just going to keep playing through this Nibiru. We do Shinonome, and that's where they decide to Ash Blossom. If they would have Ash Blossomed the Master Cerberus, our plays would have been stopped a lot more earlier. However, by them not doing so, you're going to see that Ash Blossom is not going to be enough. We summon them at Marquis, we summon Hita into Ash, we make Magistus into like SP Little Knight, we do Exceed the Pendulum, we grab Shinonome, we activate Desires. Desires is going to draw us 2, and if you've noticed throughout this entire duel, we have not normal summoned yet. So this is going to be our normal summon for the turn. Shinonome already like lost her special summon effect. So now we're going to summon Nazuki. Nazuki is going to move the Shinonome. Now we're going to do her column effect, which is going to grab us a Vaylantz monster. We're going to grab Bat Marquis. We're going to scale Baron and scale the Spirit. We cannot use Man Marquis to special summon itself because we already used that effect. And we don't grab the Baron because the Baron was banished of Desires. Which goes back to the Prosperity argument. Like now you're starting to see why we switched to Prosperity. Sometimes Desire giving you a +1 kind of helps us with the duel. However, like there are going to be games where you're just going to lose out key engine pieces, and you just pretty much have to opt to either more consistency or more power. One last misplay that I did is I did not use the Arctos 12 effect during my turn. If I did that, I could have contested against the Conic Wizen, and that would have taken away a resource out of my opponent. That being said, they summoned the Reinhardt. They summoned it specifically where the Arctos 12 is, and the main reason they're doing that is because they are aware of the Conic Wizen effect. We tried to chain SP Little Knight to the Reinhardt effect, because if he does not have specifically Realm Heart, this will banish the Reinhardt, taking away their normal summon. And not only does it take away the normal summon, they cannot use like other extension cards like Arrival and Obsession. But sadly, he did have the Realm Heart, and that specifically is going to like help him out because there's no actual way to dodge it. Now they're doing Reinhardt effect. Now they're going to do the Wizen. We're going to change the Arctos 12. The ruling behind this is, since the Arctos 12 is no longer in the same zone where it was pointing at, it does not place itself in this column, because if you read Conic Wizen, it says that it goes to the same column in the spawn trap zone of the zone that it was targeted. So for those who don't know, that is the ruling. I tried to explain to my opponent. Now I do Arctos 12 effect to pop the Realm Heart, and this is pretty much a lost cause because he's going to Arrival. We do have IP Masquerena, but we already exhausted SP Little Knight and we do not play Avramax, so we're pretty much just going to summon Appaloosa. They're going to Meek. They're going to Calarium. We Appaloosa negate that. They grab Calarium, and they have Ascension, meaning they can summon the Visa Star Frost and just keep playing. So yeah, this is the end of the match. I pretty much just wanted to showcase you this duel because this duel was mainly lost because of our multiple misplays, and not because of the hand traps that our opponent had. Take note, we did pretty much a full combo through Ash and Nibiru. That's something that you don't see being done with a lot of decks. One of the only real decks that can really do that is Unchained. Tearlaments is also another example. But yeah, now we're going to our last duel. This last duel is going to be against Tearlaments, and we do the die rule. So they pretty much go first. They dump with Fenrir, they dump with Foolish Goods, they dump at Sharon, they grab Sharon with Zodiac, they mill 3, they grab into Metal Noise, they have Rhinoheart mill, they do Redoer, they do Cash, they activate the Rhinoheart, they activate the Meta Noise, they do the Redoer, and now they summon Bahamut Shark Toad. We both forgot about Redoer. This is something that happens to Tearlament players all the time. That being said, I do summon Melusic. This Melusic is going to specifically apply pressure to the opponent. It's going to make him specifically use Toad. Because if he does not use Toad, that means that the Melusic is going to trigger on another chain to grab the Malwisp, and the Malwisp can special summon itself. And that's 2 cards that he has to contend with. So he does Toad, he Toad negates, he grabs the Kashtira. We now activate Prosperity. And this is the difference that we see between Prosperity and Desires. Like now our options are more streamlined. We activate the Master Cerberus, he negates. We activate the Shinonome, we activate the Vaylantz Ninja, he contests with the Heartbeat, and now he activates Kelbeck, and Kelbeck is going to mill him both Havness and is going to mill them Merly. And now they do Kaleido Heart, and we just end up scooping right there because we really don't have another play. Now we're going to game 2. We open Master Cerberus. We're going to Master Cerberus effect. We're going to grab Jackal King, and this is where we get hit with Droll. Thankfully, we do have talents, and not only do we have talents, you're going to see that this Secret Village is also going to play a very important role. So with talents, look at our hand. We're going to send back the Diviner. We're going to summon the Master Cerberus. And now we're going to activate Secret Village. Our opponent top decks Pressured Planet. And this is pretty much almost a guaranteed duel because right now 3 cards on his hand are dead. The only real card that he can play is the Tearlaments Kashtira. He tries to activate the Pressured Planet. I remind him about like Secret Village. He sends the King of the Swamp, grabs Polly. He now does that. He mills 3. And he doesn't mill any cards. He just scoops it up, and now we go to game 3. So now he goes first. He does the planet. Now we draw them back. Now he sends the Rhinoheart. Rhinoheart is going to mill 2. He's going to thrust to set the Meta Noise. And now he sets Super Poly and he passes. We immediately going to Cosmic the Meta Noise since it's the known card. And that card can give him an advantage in the game. We contest with that. Now we're going to do Conic Wizen. The Conic Wizen is going to get rid of the Race Off. And now we're going to place the Vaylantz Archer. We're going to summon the Vaylantz Archer, and then we're going to do Conic Wizen's effect to push the Fenrir into the Spell and Trap Zone. And this is what I mean by how strong Vaylantz is in a format like this one. With just 2 cards from this deck's engine, we got rid of Fenrir, and we had a free summon, and we're getting another free summon like out of it. And now we're going to do Mad Marquis. Mad Marquis is going to excavate 3. We end up excavating the Dominator Duke. We're going to link away the Archer into Artemis. The reason we're doing that is to free up the zone for Dominator Duke effect. So now we summon Dominator Duke. Dominator Duke is going to contest with the set card. Pretty much force them to activate it. the set card was super polymerization. So you can make the argument of making SP Little-Knight. However, the Dominator Duke's purpose is specifically to contest with the set card. So that being said, they're going to use those two to summon Garura. We have not normal summoned yet, so we're going to summon the Malwisp. And the Malwisp is going to make us SP Little-Knight. We banish the Fenrir with SP Little-Knight and we attack into the Rhinoheart. You can make the argument that you could have just banished the Shinra Bansho and have them not deal with Shinra Bansho. However, we're at a point where it doesn't matter what monster they place on the column. If they try to Shinra Bansho, we're just going to chain SP Little-Knight and just going to banish it and another card, so they lose their target. They top deck into Rhinoheart. Rhinoheart is going to send Havness, and Havness is going to make Kaleido Heart. And knowing that, we're going to immediately do SP Little-Knight, because if they end up on the Kaleido play, they can no longer do any other play specifically. And if we don't SP Little-Knight, that means that they're going to run over it after the Kaleido is summoned. So they attack directly with both. We're at 2500. SP goes back, and we top deck Shinonome. So you're about to witness what just one copy of Shinonome is about to do in this duel. The only monster that we control is SP Little-Knight, and they have 4 cards on the board. No real interruptions on their end, but yeah. You're about to see what just this card alone does, and just how powerful this deck is. Shinonome is going to grab us the solo activation. Solo activation is going to grab us Nazuki. Nazuki can special summon itself since we control Shinonome. Then Nazuki is going to move Shinonome. Shinonome is going to activate her effect again. We're going to grab the Viscount. We're going to link those two away into Beyond the Pendulum. That's going to grab us Kashido Spirit. We're going to scale both Viscount and the Kashido Spirit. We're going to Pendulum Summon the Dominator Duke, the Ninja, and the Marquis. The Kaido Spirit activates, so the Kaido Spirit goes back to our hand. Then we're going to do Mad Marquis effect. We excavate 2. No Vaylantz, sadly. We're now going to use solo activations. Since there is a field card on the field spell zone, we're going to move the Dominator Duke. And since Dominator Duke got moved, we can take control on an opponent's monster. Take note that monster cannot attack nor activate its effects. However, the monster that we take, it is treated as a Vaylantz monster. That is something that I did not remember. And if you're playing this deck, you should try to remember that. The reason we needed to remember that is because I end up using these 2 monsters as material for Arctos 12. We could have easily just used the Kaleido Heart to make the Arctos 12. That being said, we're going to summon the Viscount. Viscount is going to make the Exit the Pendulum. We do not do Viscount's effect to place into the Pendulum zone or in the Spell and Trap zone, because in order to do Shinra Bansho's effect, another card has to be in the field zone, which we do not have. That being said, we're going to grab Shinonome back with Exit the Pendulum's effect. We're going to link those 2 into Access Code Talker. We're going to pop the Rhinoheart, and we enter battle phase and we use Arctos 12 in the battle phase. The reason we do this is because we do not want to walk into Nibiru, and this Garura is going to draw them 1 card no matter what. So now, if we do this, we don't have to walk into Nibiru, and we don't have to walk into Tearlaments Kashtira. So now we do Arctos. Arctos is going to make them draw, and they draw Diviner, and we win the duel. So yeah, those are all the replays I kind of wanted to show you. Vaylantz is a very, very, very strong deck, and you're just seeing it here. Um, it is a deck that rewards player knowledge more than not. However, in a format where you want to simplify the game state and certain hand traps are being played, a deck like this one is very, very, very strong. I think it's only a matter of time till people like figure out, um, is this deck tier 1? I don't think so. Like a lot needs to happen for this deck to be like very, very strong contender. However, seeing these duels and just showcasing you like a lot of misplays that I did and how close the game could have been besides those misplays just shows you just how strong of a deck the Vaylantz is in this current format. Uh, when it comes to like rogue decks or like non-meta strategies, I always want to try to do a proof of concept, because just showing you what that can do and just talking theory is usually not enough for some viewers. And yeah, let me know if you're interested in this type of content. Let me know if you want to see more duels involving Vaylantz in the future. Uh, I might make a poll later this week and just like mention other deck options that we can play for this format. It can be both tier 1 decks and rogue decks. Uh, you already know I'm a fan of Labyrinth Unchained, the hybrid, and you can make the argument that both decks together are not tier 1, but those are two tier 1 contenders, and the synergy behind that deck works super well. But I could also try other tier 1 decks. I am open to explore and to experiment. Uh, but yeah, I hope you found this video interesting and to your liking. Uh, Stay tuned for more videos coming soon. Keep practicing and keep dueling.